Okay, I think we are all set.
Go ahead, Ann.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I appreciate you all joining us today. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm sorry we're not in the same room and sort of celebrating as we have our meeting, but these are extraordinary times, and I'm very appreciative of Anna and Rachel and Robin. Am I missing anyone that are there to support us while the board members are calling in remotely for this public meeting today for COMIDA, and we are streaming live. So just a few sort of how we manage the call, because we aren't in the same room, as folks could keep their phones muted if they're not talking, and introduce yourself when you'd like to make a comment, just so we know who is talking. And I guess we don't want to try to talk over folks or each other, but you know, we'll do the best we can. Any other decorum, Rachel, Anna, before we get started?
No, but thank you all for working with us during this challenging situation. We appreciate the flexibility.
Thank you very much. All right, I will call the meeting to order. I'd ask for approval of the minutes from our meeting of February 25th. Do I hear a motion?
Tony motions.
Tony makes the motion. Is there a second?
Lisa seconds.
Thank you, Lisa. So the minutes are approved. Kevin will not be joining us for the local labor monitoring report, but you have received a copy of the report. And do you have any questions on that? So it's in your books under local labor. All right, hearing none, I'll move on to the local labor exemption report. Brian is not in attendance, but you have received this report as well. Are there any questions?
This is Troy Milne.
Hi, Troy.
It's not a question, it's more of a comment, observation that with everything on the Midtown Athletic Club and the concerns over there, I am concerned that we are seeing applications and this approval for local labor exemptions. It's the warranty comes into play and some of the unavailable of local labor, and it's hard to challenge. I just want to make note that it is something that concerns me a little bit.
Okay. All right, any other comment? Thank you for that feedback, Troy. Any other comments on this? Okay, let's move on to Greg Genovese for our financial report. Greg?
Hi, everyone. I will be brief. Financials through February, you can see your statement of financial position, which is all of our assets and our liabilities are very consistent from month to month. No unexpected balances or transactions to note. Our cash and our equity still remain steady. In terms of our revenue and our expenses, year to date through February, our revenue is approximately $300,000 through the first 2 months. Through the first 2 months, which is substantially more than it was a year ago. A year ago was $125,000. So kudos to everyone to get these projects completed and closed, so we can get that revenue in to cover our expenses. Our expenses are pretty much right on track. They're actually down a little bit where they were last year at this time, by about $10,000 and down about $60,000 compared to where we were from a budget standpoint. So All good news. Revenue is good year to date, and expenses are down a little bit. So that's all I have to report for February. Any questions?
Those metrics are running, they're going in the right directions with revenues up and expenses down, and net assets are up too. So that's year over year from this time last year. So good work by everyone on that. That's significant. Any questions for Greg? It's not
Joining the meeting.
Oh,
Chad,
is someone saying?
Our first applicant has joined, and Chad Bukta.
Okay, great. All right. Anna, would you like to kick us off on this project, which is Pro Ampac Rochester LLC?
Yes, certainly. Pro Ampac Rochester LLC, or just Pro Ampac, is a global manufacturer of flexible packaging solutions. The company is proposing the construction of a 24,000 square foot collaboration and innovation center at its manufacturing facility in the town of Ogden. Pro Ampac also proposes renovation of approximately 10,000 square feet of space in their existing facility. The CIC will be a unique international space where customers can collaborate about innovative new packaging ideas from initial concept to testing and end user market. Pro Ampac considered other areas in the U.S. for this expansion and ultimately chose to expand in Monroe County. The applicant is seeking approval of sales tax exemption on construction materials, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and the Jobs Plus property tax abatement on the increase in assessment due to renovation and construction. The $5.9 million project is expected to create 26 full-time employees over the next 3 years, and the benefit to incentive ratio is 41-1.
hello?
Yep.
I'm sorry, I had myself on mute. I'm trying to be efficient with that, but thank you, Anna. And welcome to Chad. And I understand you are the Vice President and are here to speak to this project today. Is there anything that you would like to elaborate on beyond what Anna covered for us?
Just certainly a quick thank you for the assistance from Monroe County and the local representatives for the incentives. And from the beginning, it's really been a 2-year project that Pro Ampac has been looking at expanding and in Rochester. They originally were looking at Cincinnati and Wisconsin. So just to highlight the real benefit of GRE, Monroe County, and RG&E coming together to present a package that shifted the thought process for Pro Ampac to invest in Monroe County. And certainly excited about the opportunity and growing our manufacturing capabilities and site here in Rochester. In total, Pro Ampac has 32 manufacturing sites throughout North America, Europe, and so open to answer any questions, but I just wanted to say thank you, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. We're always happy to hear that we have collaborated with local, community organizations and with our project owners so that they will stay here and grow here and continue to be successful and expand in the Monroe County. So we appreciate the fact very much that you have chosen to do that expansion here and now with us. So do we have questions from the board on this?
Yes, and Troy Milne. Chad, Chad, these 26 full-time employees projected, what are the wages approximately, and is it just a production or management or a little bit of both or a lot of some? Or
Yes, no, it's a good question. It's a little bit of both. So with the Innovation Center, we're going to have a design and sample lab. and it will be a collaboration center where we can meet and be a centralized location for basically application and testing for our materials and confirmation of structures so that we can supply them to our customer. But then in addition to that, we do have manufacturing. So out of those 26 jobs, and we're projecting certainly additional jobs within that. But so it'll be a mix. I would say 25% office and 75% would be plant and or manufacturing. So what we do is we take printed laminate and we make preformed pouches using bag equipment.
Yes, so the wages would be approximately minimum
I would
wage
say
all the way up to,
Say 35 up to 55.
1,000 a year, you're saying, or $35 to $55?
Oh, 35,000 from production, and then if there's management up to 75, let's say.
Oh, okay.
Troy, in our books on page 8.
The average has 52.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
For the members of the board on page 8 of our project package, I believe the salary and range of salary for the various positions is reflected there. And the average of 52.5 is what's also in our book.
I'm sorry, and on page 8?
73.
Yes.
73.
Of our project. It's actually, what would that be behind? Page 35 of our book, sorry. But it's got page 8 at the bottom. So,
Page 73.
so page 36.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I looked at the wrong thing.
Oh, okay, I got you. Thank you, Ann.
Uh,
Question, Chad, on the public, last week, there was a gentleman that asked about a neutrality agreement with the Teamsters 503. Was that ever decided on or discussed, or didn't go any further than the conversation this week?
Yeah, did not proceed any further.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there are other questions from the board? All right, hearing none.
Will you write them?
There was a public hearing on this project on March 12th. Rachel, were there any comments from the hearing?
Yes, Mike Stafford from Loco 503 presented on the benefits of union jobs and discussed the opportunity to present to this company's employees on the opportunity to join the union.
Okay. Any other comments?
There were none.
Okay. Thank you. So Chad, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yeah.
Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
No.
Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
I was not. But can you expound on the exemption?
Sure. Rachel, do you want to pick up on that?
Yes, Chad, to the extent that you, in the future, although you don't anticipate it now, may need to use non-local labor, you need to follow the process of submitting a waiver exemption at least 45 days in advance of that work commencing at the project site.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Now you're aware. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
For that. Okay, thank you. The seeker process is complete. We'll now move forward with the reading of the resolution for this project. Anna?
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I flipped ahead in my packet here.
Anna, this is Troy.
Yes, hi
I
Troy.
make a motion that we waive the reading of the resolution.
Okay, thank you, Troy.
Yeah. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, this is Red.
Any additional comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving the real property tax abatement and sales tax exemption. And I'll take a roll call on that once we have the motion. So is there a motion, please?
I motion, Ann.
And that's Lisa?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And is there a second?
Tony seconds.
Joining the meeting.
Tony seconds.
Not and Jet Meta.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead, Ann. It's just the next project joining so we can be efficient. So you will hear some beeps as we're taking votes on the current project.
You are being efficient. Okay. So we had a first, second, we had a motion and second. Any additional comments, questions on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Jay is absent. Tony?
Yay.
Yay. Lisa?
Yay.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe, I don't believe has joined, so he's absent. Rhett
Yay.
is a yay, thank you, and Ann is a yay, so motion carries. So congratulations.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We look forward to working with you.
Yeah, likewise. All right.
And good luck.
All right, thank you. Have a great day.
All right, thank you. All right, project number 2 is Indus South Union Street LLC. Can you walk us through that, please, Anna?
Yes. Indus South Union Street LLC, a real estate holding company affiliated with Indus Hospitality Group, or IHG, is proposing construction of a Hampton Inn and Suites hotel adjacent to the Strong National Museum of Play in the city of Rochester. The $25.7 million project will consist of 125 rooms on 5 floors, totaling 90,000 square feet. The project is in conjunction with the Neighborhood of Play and the Inner Loop redevelopment. IHG was awarded the hospitality portion of the Neighborhood of Play development project by the city of Rochester via an RFP process. The applicant is seeking approval of mortgage, recording tax, and sales tax exemptions on construction materials, furniture and fixtures, and the Job Plus property tax abatement on the increase in assessment due to renovation and construction. The project is expected to create 36 full-time employees over the next 3 years. The benefit to incentive ratio is 6-to-1.
Thanks, Anna. Are the representatives for this project then on the phone?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
So that's John Ott and Jet Meta?
Correct.
I'm sorry?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, great.
You can hear me. Okay, good.
Well, thank you for joining us today, and thanks for bringing this project to Monroe County. Do you have anything you'd like to elaborate on this particular project?
Nothing more than we're just very excited to be part of it. Certainly the Inner Loop redevelopment. We've been working with the Strong Museum, Konar Properties together on what is really a large project in Center City. Happy to finally be getting to the point where it's coming to life. It's been in the works for over 5 years, so it feels good to be where we are. Nice new construction facility, over 90,000 square feet, national brand. We feel the Hampton in franchise is very nicely aligned with the mission and the general tourism base of the strong museum. So we're just excited to bring a first-class product to market that accommodates both business travelers and leisure folks on the weekends.
And we've had several other projects there that we've approved previously for the neighborhood of play, the museum garage and some residential mixed-use units. And so this is now the hotel portion. There's been several projects. Yes. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, no, and I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. I appreciate you saying that. It was really a phased approach. So with all three parties working together and developing on, a relatively tight piece of property in the center of the city, we had to work in phases in order to accommodate the strong museum's business operation, which can involve about 500,000 visitors annually. We're hoping with continued growth of the museum and a planned expansion that space can grow to almost 750,000. So you're correct, the parking garage went first, then some of the multifamily, and now it's finally our turn. We're the third, I guess, phase we would plan on starting this spring.
So I was just going to ask you when you were starting fairly soon, it sounds like.
Yeah, that's the plan, if we can pull all the last pieces together.
Right. It sounds like a very novel approach to the hotel itself, with the ground floor sort of adopting the fun, whimsical playfulness consistent with the neighborhood and consistent with the museum. So sounds like a lot of extra effort has gone into the planning of the hotel.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. We have designed the hotel so the first floor does not contain any guest rooms, so it can be a very active environment. We're proposing a really large, enhanced indoor swimming pool facility, very family friendly. It's actually an annex portion of the building, all in glass, 2-story. Should be very impressive. A nice little bar with a small menu, and then really just a very large, energized 2-story breakfast room. So we want the first floor to be busy. The reason not to have any guest rooms on the first floor is largely because of noise, but that is certainly a trend in the hotel industry, is energized lobby where people can come down, and whether they work on their device or they're with their family or they want to have a drink, it's a place to escape.
That sounds great. That sounds like a good strategy, particularly for this venue as part of the neighborhood of play. Okay, do we have questions from the board on this project?
Yes, Ann, this is Red. I do have a question. I noticed that the hotel is going to be adjacent, and I was wondering if there was going to be some sort of an indoor connection to Strong Museum of Play and the hotel itself.
Fortunately, there will not be. Not an indoor connection. There will be sidewalks that are very well lit with, really we've had the good fortune of being able to bring on some very talented landscape design architects. So we feel the pathways, pathway lighting, landscaping will be a very positive experience for hotel guests and museum visitors to enter the properties, but there will not be a enclosed tunnel or underground. The good news is a lot of the traffic will be in the warmer weather months, and I don't think people will mind, but to specifically answer your question, no, there will not be.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. I think this is a great addition to the Inner Loop redevelopment project.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brett. Other questions? There is a bird's eye perspective in our books. We're looking from above down onto the project, so you can see where it's positioned on South Union. So we appreciate all the materials that you've submitted to us for the approval process.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, there was a public hearing held on March 13th on this project. Were there any comments at the public hearing?
No, there was no public participation.
Thank you. And now I'll ask you a few questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
At this time, we do not.
Okay. Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes, we are aware of that.
Okay, great. Thank you. The seeker process is complete. Did we waive the reading of all the resolutions, Troy, in your motion, or is that one? All of them. Okay. So we've waived the reading of the resolution. And I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving the real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions. And we'll take a roll call after we have the motion. Is there a motion on the table?
Troy, motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Troy, seconded by Lisa. Any additional comments or questions? All right, hearing none. Jay is absent. Tony?
Yay.
Thank you. Lisa?
Yay.
Thank you. Troy?
Yay.
Thank you. Joe, I believe, is absent. He was going to try to call in, but he is traveling. Rhett King?
Yay.
And Ann is a yay. Motion carried. So great. Congratulations. Good luck. We'll all be here to help you enjoy it once the construction is underway. And
Joining the meeting.
Thank you very much for bringing this
Hello,
opportunity.
Lindsay and Mike Spillett.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next project is the Fairview Hotel Group, LLC. And Anna, would you like to walk us through that?
Yes. Fairview Hotel Group LLC, or Fairview, a real estate holding company, is proposing new construction of a hotel complex adjacent to the Rochester Dome Arena. The Wyndham Hotels and Resorts will feature a dual brand Wingate and Hawthorne suites. The project will consist of a 4-story complex providing 81 conventional rooms and 46 extended stay suites, totaling 72,449 square feet on approximately 4.03 acres in the town of Henrietta. The $16.8 million project is expected to draw larger events to the Rochester Dome Arena, a regional event venue. The town of Henrietta supports the project. Fairview seeks approval of a job plus property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions. The project will create 10 full-time employees over the next 3 years, and the job requirement is 1, and the benefit to incentive ratio is 6-to-1.
Thank you. And do we have the representatives here on the phone to represent this project? Michael Coletta and Betsy Brugge.
Hi, yeah, good afternoon. Hope you guys are all doing well under these unusual circumstances. This is Betsy Brugge, and hopefully Mike Spilletta is on the call as well.
Yes, I am on.
Okay, so we made it.
Okay.
All right, we accomplished that.
Great. We appreciate your patience as we conduct this meeting remotely. So given the circumstances. So can you tell us a little bit more, elaborate on the project a little bit?
Joining
Sure.
the meeting.
Got somebody else coming on?
Hi, Jay. We're just on project number 3, the Fairview Hotel Group LLC.
Hi, Jay. So this is Betsy Brugg. So, you know, under the circumstances, we can't show you any drawings or, you know, put any plans up, but you're all familiar with the dome. So this is a proposal to construct a hotel next to the dome. Unfortunately, the dome suffers from not having a hotel on premises, which makes them less competitive for events and, you know, passed over, and they're not, you know, they really aren't able to accommodate the needs of many of the different kinds of conventions, conferences, youth sports events, those kinds of things that are really looking for an on-site walk, you know, hotel in walking distance. This one's also very unique. It is the first dual brand hotel in Rochester and the first Windgate Hawthorne Suites dual brand in the entire country. So it should be a nice, something nice, different. It's got, you know, 2 different brands. It's got traditional hotel and long-term stay, you know, that would accommodate, you know, the needs of families and, you know, people who want a kitchenette and maybe, you know, some more conveniences. So that is the project in a nutshell. We're glad to answer your questions. And like I said, Mike is on the call as well.
Hey, Betsy, this is Jake Copley. A couple of quick questions. Can you give me, I'm interested in the type of, you know, do you have specific events that the Dome is saying that they can target with a hotel there? And then I'd like to get a more elaboration on the extended stay. So I understand,
okay.
You know, I guess logically, I can understand the hotel for someone coming in 3-4 days, but extended stays are typically for people staying for much longer periods of time. So walk me through that one.
So I don't know if Lindsay's on the call, but extended stay really it's actually, oh, Lindsay's on, great.
Yeah, so extended stay doesn't actually mean that a guest has to stay any longer than a day. It's just a choice. It's an amenity that you're offering them. It basically, they tend to say it's a convenience because it has a kitchenette, and if there's families or events that you know, you are staying a day or you're staying a week, you have the comfort of more of a home versus just a hotel room. So that's really what an extended stay means. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to stay longer. It's just more of a convenience.
Okay.
And then the other, Jay's other question, thank you for that, was around the types of new business that you would be able to bring in because of the having the hotel at the Dome or near the Dome.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
What sort of events can you offer as a result of having the hotel?
Liz, do you want to cover that? I could actually, because yeah, there is some information that the Dome provided. I don't know, I think they may have even submitted some RFPs that, you know, for events that they were passed over on. But essentially, for example, youth sporting events in particular, where hotel rooms need to be walking distance. And there are a number of events that have looked at the Dome and they haven't met the requirements for the events because they don't have, even though there are many hotels in Henrietta, there are none that are on premises or within walking distance, you know, short walking distance. So one of the examples that we had submitted, I think it's in the packet. I'm going to quickly look and see. I think that we had submitted some examples of some of the RFPs, some of the events that they were passed over. Definitely youth sporting events. And then there are just events in general that want to have hotel rooms available for their participants on premises.
Yes, and if I could elaborate on that.
Okay, go ahead.
One, I believe actually coming to mind, one of the RFPs that was shown to us was, I think, for a gymnastics event. And in RFP, it actually had this specified, they wanted 20 double queen rooms. And so because there was not a hotel on site, they lose out on that event. But they specified the how many rooms they want and the type of rooms they want.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Are there other questions from the board or any other comments you'd like to make?
I would just say that under the circumstances and, where we are right now with conferences and events, I think this is more important than ever for the, success of the Dome going forward.
Well, that's wonderful that you have this concept because, we're happy to see the Dome do well. And I know the city of Henrietta supports the project. It'll bring in people that we might not otherwise have for use of the Dome. So, all right. Any questions by the board? Any more questions? All right. I understand with the public hearing on this event, March 13th. Were there any comments from that hearing?
Yes, Sarah Lippincott, the town assessor, asked whether this pilot would be in any way connected to the pilot which is on the Dome, and the answer to that question was no.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so I'll ask you a few questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
The only one that we would possibly expect is for the Gypcrete, Henderson Johnson out of Syracuse.
Okay, and are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we don't have that request in at this point. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. But so you'll fulfill the 45-day.
Yes, we will.
All right. Thank you. Okay, the seeker process is complete, and we have waived the reading of the resolutions because we all have them in our books and we've read them. And so I will ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving the real property tax abatement, mortgage reporting tax, and sales tax exemptions. Is there a motion?
Yes,
Tony moves. And is there a second?
Troy second.
Troy second. All right. Any additional comments or questions? Okay, I'll take a roll call vote on that. Jay?
Yay.
Thank you. Tony?
Yay.
Lisa?
Yay.
Thank you. Troy?
Yay.
Joe is absent. Red?
Yay.
Thank you. And Ann is a yay. Motion carries, and congratulations and good luck with your project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I
Thanks
just
for
want to wish
joining us.
everybody good health and stay safe.
Thank you. Same to you.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. Okay, the next project is the LaCroix Development LLC project number 4. Anna?
Yes. Lafroy's Development LLC, or Lafroy's, proposes the construction of a facility to be leased to the University of Rochester. The $7.2 million project will include construction of a 32,000 square foot single-story building on 5.65 acres in the town of Webster. The project will be primarily dedicated to medical and radiation oncology services, featuring a linear accelerator featuring a linear accelerator vault, a unique device used in radiation treatments for patients with cancer that requires special construction. Also included in the project is an ophthalmology practice and related services. Lefroy's will provide the building shell, and the U of R will complete interior renovations, investing an additional $8.3 million. The applicant is seeking approval of sales tax and mortgage reporting tax exemptions and the lease plus property tax abatement. The tenant's purchases are not subject to sales tax. The project is expected to create 34 full-time employees and relocate 30 full-time employees over the next and relocate 30 full-time employees over the next 3 years. The benefit to incentive ratio is 19:1.
Joining the meeting.
Joe
Thank
Gabriel,
you.
Lama Institute.
Thank you. So on the phone joining us is, I heard Eric Jones.
Yes, thank you.
Are there other representatives for this project on the phone?
Joe Gabriel, Lama Institute.
Okay.
And Brian Martin from the Wilmot Cancer Center.
Okay. Did we get those names, Robin?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. So we have actually just read the write-up on your project, and we were wondering, well, we read it out loud during the course of the meeting just now, and we are happy to have you join us. It sounds like a very unique facility. And can you elaborate on your project and tell us a little bit more about it?
Sure, I'll start off. This is Eric Jones. We're the developer, Lefroy's Development. We're excited to have this project, and we're thankful to the board for the board's consideration. Both the oncology and ophthalmology practices will provide much needed services to the patients in the Websterns and the surrounding area. One of the unique aspects of this project is the linear accelerator that will support the oncology practice. It's going to provide necessary medicines to aid in the treatment of cancer. Obviously we have Brian from the U of R, Brian Martin from the U of R Oncology Department, and Joseph Gabriel from the Ophthalmology Department of Lama Institute, and I think they can answer some more detailed questions regarding their individual practices.
Thank you. Are there other comments on that? The linear accelerator vault, that sounds very high tech. Are there any other pieces of equipment like that available locally?
So we have the linear accelerators are available in several key locations. I mean, what's unique about this is there isn't any real representation on the east side in the Webster location, and that's really based on patient volumes and increasing incidence in terms of why we're really focusing on that area next.
Well, that makes sense. It sounds like it's certainly a very unique device that's used to combat, cancer and help with cancer.
This facility really, between the linear accelerator and the infusion therapy services and a multidisciplinary approach for giving a space for surgical oncology as well as urology, medical oncology, hematology, puts us in a unique position within this growing population area.
Great. Any questions from the board on this? Any questions? Okay, I will move forward. And we had a public hearing on this project on March 13th. Were there any comments at the public hearing, Rachel?
The representatives from the town supervisor, the town attorney, and the assessor, Donna Komar, were there. They asked some clarifying points on the project, but no items of concern.
Okay, great. I'll now ask you some local labor questions for the representatives on the phone. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
We do not.
Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
We are.
Okay, great. The seeker process is complete, and we have waived the reading of the resolution since we have read it. And so I'll ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving the real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions.
I make a motion, Ann. It's Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Is there a second?
Tony, second it.
Thank you, Tony. Any additional comments, questions? Okay, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yay.
Tony?
Yay.
Lisa?
Yay.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe is absent. Brett? Thank you. And Ann is a yay. So motion carries, and congratulations.
Thank you very
We'll
much.
have to have tours. You'll have to get a tour once you've completed it. It was great that you could take that expertise to Webster. So thank you very much for joining us. Okay. Okay, the next
Joining the
project
meeting.
is KRL Realty. Is that Renee?
Yes, Renee and Ken.
Oh, Renee and Ken. Okay, thanks for joining us. We're just about to review your project. And I'll turn it over to Anna.
Thank you. KRL Realty LLC, or KRL, a real estate holding company, and Five Star Tool Company Incorporated, or Five Star, a related entity, are proposing a 15,000 square foot expansion to their existing facility in the town of Gates. Founded in 1965, Five Star designs and manufactures precision metal cutting tools for industry and produces parts for the aerospace, medical, dental, firearms, and automotive industries. Five Star requires additional floor space to increase efficiencies and facilitate growth. KRL seeks approval of a job plus property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions. Five Star is requesting approval of sales tax exemption on purchases. The $1.5 million project will create 5 full-time employees over the next 3 years. The job requirement is 4, and the benefit to incentive ratio is 20-1.
Okay, thanks, Anna. So, Renee and Ken Lalonde, you are the owners of KRL Realty. Would you like to expand a little bit on the project and elaborate some?
Sure, this is Ken. So we purchased the property we're presently in 2008, and it was about 14,500 square feet. And since that time, we've probably more than doubled our sales. And with adding equipment, we are really tight for space here. And recently, our business has grown in the aerospace market. We foresee a really good future. We see orders out to 2030 through GE Aviation and some of our other vendors. And with this expansion, one, it'll help us to put our equipment in a more climate-controlled building. And also, it'll give some of our customers more confidence that we're growing. So we're excited for the growth, and with that facility, we'll continue to add more equipment and add more jobs, and we'll have a more efficient environment. So that's our future right now, and our employees are excited, and so that's really the purpose for the building. Renee, do you have anything to add?
Nope.
It's always exciting to see companies that are doing so well, and they're growing and expanding, and they're staying here. And you know, for many folks, you know, there just are so many of these companies that are out there that you don't hear from necessarily or hear about every day, but they're doing enormously successful things for Monroe County and growing and staying here. So we appreciate that. Do we have questions from the board on this project? Are there any questions? Okay, hearing none. The public hearing was held on this project on March 12th. Were there any comments at the public hearing?
The school district asked the duration and type of the pilot, which we confirmed was Jobs Plus for 10 years, and the assessor asked about the number of jobs, which we also provided that information.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, Renee and Ken, I will ask you several labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yeah.
Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
We do not.
Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. The seeker process is complete on this project. We've waived the reading of the resolution. We have it in our books. And now I'll ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving the real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemption.
Troy motion.
Troy? Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Jay. Any additional comments or questions? Okay, I will take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yay.
Tony?
Yay.
Lisa?
Yay.
Thank you. Troy?
Yay.
Joe is traveling and is absent. And Rhett?
Yay.
Thank you. And Ann is a yay. Motion carries. And the project's approved. Thanks a lot, Renee and Ken, for coming to us and bringing the project forward to stay and grow and expand in Monroe County.
Great, and thank you for the approval.
Thank you so much.
Joining the meeting.
All right.
Thanks, old parrot.
Okay, the next project is, Rachel's doing a good job of
It's actually Robin. She is getting this timing down perfectly.
She's our executive
Congratulations,
producer.
Robin. You were on it. You're doing a great job. Okay, so that sounded like Joel Barrett that joined us.
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay, welcome. And I think we have representatives from the city also joining for this, do we not?
Yes,
I'll be on in a
they'll be on in a moment.
Joining the meeting.
Gary Kirkmeyer.
Hi, Gary. This is Ann Burr.
Hi, Ann.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Was there anyone else joining from the city on this project?
Ann DeSilva might be on the line, but.
Yeah, I'm on the line, yeah, and the Silvatella.
You're still there. Thank you. Okay. Anna, would you like to go ahead and review the project for us?
Yes. 291 South Plymouth LLC, a developer of residential properties, proposes to construct 3 townhomes for sale on an approximately 1/3 acre parcel in the Cornhill neighborhood. The $797,500 project is supported by the City of Rochester as part of their Core Housing Owner Incentive Exemption, or CHOICE program. The CHOICE program's goal is to encourage homeownership in the city. Upon the sale of each unit, the property tax abatement transfers to the individual owner. The city has indicated that this project will assist in achieving the goals of the CHOICE program and asked for COMIDA's partnership in achieving this goal. The 1,440 square foot market rate townhomes will have 1 bedroom and 2-car garages. The applicant seeks approval of a Jobs Plus property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions. The job requirement is not applicable for CHOICE program projects. the benefit to incentive ratio is 3 to 1.
Okay, thanks, Anna. So we have Joel and Gary here, as well as, I think it was Anna, not Anna, but Ann. Can you elaborate on these projects? I know we've received additional materials. We have a PowerPoint that was distributed today, I believe, to our board members, and it's talking about the city's effort to restore and rebuild the city and what that all entails. And then also we have a choice program expansion summary that was part of our information, talking about the positives and the challenges in the new market rate single family housing options. And then we also have a copy of the resolution from November 12th that was adopted by the city, extending the choice tax abatement program for owner-occupied housing beyond downtown. Just point of clarification, this initiative does drive, owner-occupied units, where we've certainly had rental units throughout the city. So this is driving owner-occupied residents to come into the city. The ceiling unit price per unit that the city has adopted is, I think it's $500,000. And in our packets, you said the price per unit was going to be $350, and then the material that we received this morning in the PowerPoint shows the per unit price now down to $300,000, but it does elaborate a lot on the cost of building these units. So you want to tell us a little bit more about that? Thank you.
Yeah, I think, hi, this is Joel Barrett. So I was the one that prepared the PowerPoint, and I kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about the site from a holistic perspective. So it is a 2-parcel site. There was a 5,000 square foot vacant office building that was on site that we developed into 6 market rate apartments. This is actually kind of the 3rd time that I've attempted to be in front of the COMIDA board, first with the project as a consolidated project, and then back as a rental project, and then finally when the choice was expanded to the rest of the city, I went back and presented these as townhomes again. But we did a significant amount of investment in this abandoned structure without any incentive, and the initial tax base of the undeveloped site when we acquired the property was approximately $189,000, and subsequent to our phase 1 development, we increased the assessed value to $561,000, taking the total property taxes from around $7,800 a year to almost $30,000 a year, and that was on our first phase. And then I kind of just touch on, the potential assessed value on the site of the second phase, if it does go up at approximately $250,000 per unit. Putting some estimates out there in terms of how in some projections, but that would increase the overall assessed value on the site from $189,000 prior to acquisition to roughly $1.15 million, with an increase in taxes at the completion of the townhome component of the project of almost $27,000. Also, the increase in taxes over the life of the project for both properties, the total taxes paid would be almost $700,000 on the site. And this is taking it out almost 10 years of the pilot and then 4 years of development on the site, versus the total taxes, if neither of the projects had been performed, would only be about $135,000. So approximately $500,000 of additional taxes. On the cost summary, what I was attempting to do was to show, display what the break-even sales price was. So if there was no profit on the project, what would be the minimum amount of sale price to sell these units for? And that's kind of where I like to start, and I back my cost into that. So if we were able to sell the units at $300,000, there would be, basically that would be the break even, and there would be no profit on the project for the developer, and the construction company would have their work-based profit, which averages about 3% of the total project overall. I broke down the costs a little bit more. So that's kind of what I was trying to do, is present the break even. And in the application, in the application, it wasn't, you know, there's still a range because of market conditions. So, I mean, my goal would be to sell these at the absolute minimum that I can to have, you know, somewhere in a 10% profit. So 10 additional percent on this gets me to $330,000. That would make the profit, you know, somewhere about $28,000 to $25,000 per unit when it's all said and done. But I wanted to articulate the construction costs because it's just somewhat difficult when you look at a per square footage number on a COMIDA form to say that, is this even reasonable? I could go buy a house for $100.
What am I doing?
Yeah, like I know I had to refresh this. And when I was actually doing this analysis for myself, I was like, oh, whoa, I thought I was going to be a little better off, because I take the construction estimate. I'm like, oh, you know, with a 2-car garage, we're only at, you know, $160 a square foot. All right, that's within the realm of possibility. And then, you know, I layer on, and I apologize, this is very kind of financially driven, and it's just, I'm an accountant by trade. So I kind of put a lot of numbers in these, but then when we layer on the architectural soft costs, the additional assurances associated with both parcels that require them, construction interest on the property, you know, the cost paid for the land, and then we really think about the total fully loaded cost of the property. You know, what is the bare minimum that I have to do not to lose money? So that's kind of what I wanted to present to you, that, you know, 300,000 is, and it's a very unfortunate situation that single family construction is this expensive. And I think that's why you're seeing more multifamily developments, because that could be, you know, that high cost of development, you know, that I've heard can be anywhere from $200 an hour is normally what my prices are, up to $300 an hour for affordable housing because of all the additional costs that are associated with that. And so I don't think that I'm more expensive than others, but.
So just point of clarification, phase 1 we did not participate in.
That's correct.
So what we're considering today is phase 2. For these few units. In your analysis, you're not blending the cost of both phases in this analysis for us, correct?
No, nope. On the construction cost summary on slide 3 of the PowerPoint, it's exclusively this project, but I thought that the first project without any incentives lends credence to the overall site and provides a little bit more substance that the neighborhood has been really strongly desiring a vacant lot to be filled in. This building was boarded up, broken into, windows broken. You know, there was kind of broken down vehicles and boats stored in the, as you can see on that first page, things stored in that yard. And this is probably one of the most prominent locations. So as you come down Plymouth Avenue from downtown as Plymouth, which used to run directly in front of this house, which is now Avery Mall, and kind of the epicenter of the Cornhill Festival, there was this vacant, broken down property. So I just want to stress the overarching benefit this has had to the neighborhood, and then also specifically to the neighbors. And you know, the last piece of this would be filling in the vacant land. So my point in showing the total cost summary and breaking it down by piece of the project is just to understand that, okay, these costs make sense. You know, if we look on the building construction side, a foundation, a garage, and framing up an entire structure, $50,000. Okay, that doesn't seem unreasonable to me. Roofing, siding, and gutters, an entire house, $18,000. That's not unreasonable. So I just kind of wanted you to feel that these costs were reasonable and there was nothing inflated. Obviously, I would like to do it. If I could do it for half of the price, I would in a heartbeat. If I could, you know, sell these homes for $200,000, I would do it in a heartbeat. But this is me racking my brain for 3 years to try to put the most affordable home ownership product in the marketplace and still have a really high quality product.
And can the project move forward without the pilot?
I mean, based on what my analysis, the cost that I have, that means that I would have to drop the price at a low enough dollar amount that they could afford the mortgage payment and tax. So I don't believe that it would be able to go forward without having a pilot. And I don't know what I would consider on the site because I've already attempted the multifamily scenarios. that the city has partnered with that were not brought before the board. I tried to do townhomes when Choice was only part of Center City, and looking because I was a block or so outside of that, that didn't work. So I've been kind of trying to determine a path forward on the site for 3 years, and unfortunately, costs or insurances and things are yet to get cheaper. Interest rates have been kind of friendly recently, but we still have to have somebody that's able to buy this. So when I look at what the potential sale price could be, this may say, all right, I can compete with somebody out in a suburb to bring somebody into the city that would, still values home ownership. And there's not a lot of these projects, but this could be a template for increasing home ownership in the city of Rochester to this expanded program. So I really like to be able to try to do this as affordable as possible.
Okay, thank you, Joel.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Before I open it up to questions from the board, Gary, would you like to make some remarks from the city on this project?
Sure, thank you. I'll be brief. I know your meeting has gone long already. Just building off of what Joel was saying, you already referenced the fact that both the administration and council are in support of these projects and the expansion up to the assessed value of $500,000. So that goes without saying. The one bullet that I'll point to on the expansion summary page is that third one in the challenge section, which Joel touched on a little bit, and that is, we're trying our best to work with builders to drive these construction costs, the project costs down, really to get to a point where our residents can afford it. That may not be totally applicable to this specific situation, but we want all types of diverse income in our neighborhood. And really what we're really trying to do is increase owner occupancy and create environments that are conducive to incentivizing infill development. The city of Rochester has been blessed with a lot of development over the last several years, but if you look at it, and the 1,900 residential units that have been constructed, for the most part, they're rental, and for the most part, they're in large complexes. We cannot rebuild our neighborhoods with large complexes. So it's really incumbent upon us to try to develop programs, and we've been meeting with builders and identifying all the costs that we can get down, from modular builders to stick builders. And we believe that very soon here, we're going to RFP some lots that through some level of incentive will allow us to get into the 60 to 80% AMI population of residents to avail them opportunities for newly constructed residential homes in their. But so there's a lot going on. This is just one project, but we want the wide diversity that comes from our diverse neighborhoods, diverse income in our neighborhoods. And, we just need more owner occupants and more newly constructed residential structures.
Okay, thank you, Gary. All right, any other comments from the city on this? If not, I'll open it up to the board for questions.
Joel, this is Jay Popley. I have a couple of questions, but before I do, first I want to applaud you for the first phase of this development. At least in the opinion of myself, I think that's the way things ought to work. You saw a market opportunity, you took it, and you were able to do it just based on the free market, and that's what we all hope for. We want to create sufficient demand and pricing so that the market can work as it should. I want to probe a little bit deeper on your costs.
Sure.
I'll be straightforward. I'm having trouble understanding the costs and why they are so high. This weekend, I looked through the real estate section for new housing, and I looked at single family housing and just looked at what is the selling price that they're having per square foot. And I tried to do apples to apples. I tried to look at things that are basically new construction, 2-car garages, and these are single family, homes. So in theory, they should actually be a little on the high side because you should gain some efficiencies building 3 units. I understand it's a lot and you might be building a little more vertical than these folks, but but we should be in the ballpark. The selling cost that I was able to find ranged from about 125 on the low end to $200 on the high end per square foot. There was one, in a very affluent neighborhood that was $225 a square foot. So when I look at your total square foot cost of 193, I guess can you explain to me why yours would be a lot more than the examples I looked at?
I mean, I think you're looking at, so I think the value of land that I've attributed to this, and I think if you're looking at Ryan Homes, it's a national builder. They have obviously economies of scale. Like if it's a Ryan home, they're generally selling at about $150 constructed per square foot. Yes. So I think the biggest keys are the cost of land. So if someone buys 1,000 acres somewhere out, or even 100 acres out 20 years ago, that cost maybe were $50 an acre versus what is a half acre lot in the city of Rochester costs. So that's one piece. And also, if you're building in a 50-home subdivision, you have one set of architectural plans across 100 properties. So your architectural, there's very minor nuanced differences. We're doing kind of a build on spec, so we're paying full architectural costs. I would imagine that our construction cost per square foot, if you're looking at the actual building material costs, and we're not getting any benefit from a volume purchases that these developers are larger developments that are happening. The ones that you're looking at, $119 a square foot, which includes the garage, or $159 a square foot where you're building a 3-unit on spec. I would imagine that, the only difference that they would have in costs would be maybe 25 to, maybe a 5 to 10% difference. Because we're pretty, I've looked at this, 8 ways to Sunday to try to get our costs down on it. And I think what you're seeing is the full 193 as the value of land, the architectural costs across architectural engineering and legal costs across a single project versus a large scale development. And then also I'm building on a site that already has a 6-unit property. So my insurance on this, because I have active tenants going in and out of the site, is probably triple what it takes to build on raw land. So I think some of those costs that you're seeing out there are just blended across economies of scale versus I'm building on a 1/4 acre lot in the middle of the city with an active rental property next door, and I'm building 3 units. And really from a construction standpoint, my final cost of $159 per square foot, building materials, costs, labor, everything, I'm just getting crushed by architecture, engineering, the cost of land, my insurances, and then construction interest is also something that maybe a larger scale company can afford to build these or not incur costs prior to them being sold, which I don't have the luxury of doing. So I think some of the soft costs are what driving up this project. And then also on the construction side, it would be the economies of scale associated with building 50, 100 units. And I will say that when it comes to quality, I don't know if you've looked at our website or any of our past projects, we are a high quality boutique level builder. So Ryan Homes builds code level work. They're not looking at energy efficiency. They're not looking at spray foam installations. They're not looking at higher grade windows to provide lower heating bills for their tenants. They're not looking at nicer finishes like hardwood floors. They do code level building. And I think a lot of the new developments that you're seeing even in suburbs, they're not built to the quality of things that were built from 1920 to 1960 or 70. It's a different type of construction, and some of them I don't believe that they will last 50 to 100 years. So I think the economies of scale, the soft costs associated with a small project versus a large project, and then I think we are 100% on par with their construction numbers. When we bid projects, we are always less than some of the larger construction companies in town because we are just an inexpensive builder. So those I think are the factors that are driving up the price.
Okay, thank you. Are there other questions from the board?
And I have a few follow-up questions, actually.
Okay.
I just have a few follow-up questions. Looking at your soft costs, taking them, just as they are, it amounts to roughly $9 a square foot. So not a huge amount per se when we're looking at the total amount. And the other thing is, and the ones that I did look at, the examples I did look at, they ranged. There were some that were most, I would say there was one large builder, but most of them were small builders. I also went and looked at a couple of industry averages, and I'm still getting some pretty high costs. Industry averages for, exterior ranged from about $45 to $50 a square foot. Looking at your exterior, you're right around 63, 64. There's a huge discrepancy in interiors. We're at 50 to 60, and I'm looking at this just, we are in the engineering business. You're coming in at 83, so I guess I'm just having, I'm having trouble that the construction costs just don't seem. Don't seem in line with what's going on. What's going on in the industry? So
I wish I knew someone, but is there a single, I haven't seen any, and I talked with, quite a few builders that are building at that, $100 per square foot. I'm not sure what the period of time from the data is, because I know, 10 years ago or even 12 years ago, everyone kind of has an expectation that, a house sells for $100 a square foot. So in Rochester, because that's kind of where our market was for a long time, it's got a recent uptick, in the last couple of years, because there hasn't been much single family home construction. But I mean, and also, so that number one is part of it. The number two, our total constructed cost per square foot is $159. Our soft costs would be $159, take it up to $193. So the $9 per square foot on the soft cost is not accurate. It's, roughly the $33 for soft cost because of the small lot and obviously, those things.
No,
so we're at $159.
That includes your cost of land. I said that going from 153 to 190 includes cost of land too. So that's.
So I mean, my cost of land may be slightly skewed on this because I had to attribute an allocable valuable to the land. So what would a what would a 1/3 acre lot sell in the city? This lot was purchased as part of the acquisition cost there. But I didn't buy the lot for myself. I'm subdividing it from a property that I already own.
Got it.
Okay, other questions from the board? All right, hearing none. There was a public hearing held on this project on February 18th. Were there any comments from the public hearing, Rachel?
There were no comments at the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. I'll now ask you, Joel, our local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes, I am.
Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
I do not.
Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The seeker process is complete. We're waiving the reading of the resolution because we have it in our books. I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving the real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions.
Yes,
is there a motion? I'm sorry, I didn't. Tony, move. Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
And I'll second it.
Okay. All right, been moved by Tony, seconded by Jay. Any additional comments or questions? I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Nay.
Tony?
Yay.
Lisa?
Yay.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe is absent. Rex?
Yay.
And Ann is a yay. So motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Does anyone need to take a break, or should we just keep on trucking on?
Keep on trucking.
You're doing a great job, everyone. Thank you so much.
Joining the meeting.
Okay, the next project is Regional Distributors LLC. And do we have Brittany Lewis is joined us?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, thank you. Anna, would you like to walk us? Hi there. Anna, would you like to walk us through the project?
Yes. Regional Distributors Incorporated, or Regional, is a supplier of paper goods, food items, equipment, janitorial supplies, and packaging to over 2,500 customers throughout New York State. The company, a New York State certified women business enterprise, proposes to renovate and reconfigure their buildings in the city of Rochester to improve logistics and create efficiencies. The renovation will allow for increased inventory of existing and new product lines. Regional is seeking sales tax exemption for construction materials, furniture, fixtures, and equipment purchases of $582,552. The project will create 6 new full-time employees over the next 3 years. The benefit to incentive ratio is 24-1.
Thank you. Brittany, would you like to tell us what your position is and expand on the project some?
Absolutely. First and foremost, thank you everybody so much for making sure that we're able to still keep on track despite what is going on right now. We appreciate your commitment.
Well, we appreciate your patience for having to call in. So.
Oh, not a problem. You know what? It actually makes life a little easier this week anyway, as you can imagine.
There you go.
We have reached a new pinnacle in our business in that we are growing very rapid. We're finding that there is very serious demand for the services we offer, both the level of care to our customers as well as the products and availability that we have for the community. We service schools, hospitals, retirement communities, housing, everything that you can imagine, a lot of very essential pillars in our community that need the supplies. And we're kind of at a place where we've maximized our capacity. There's nowhere else to put anything. We're kind of stacking things to the ceiling and we're running out of space. In addition to that, our team is growing as we're finding this demand. So again, needing to accommodate, growth in the amount of people on our site and the technology available to them and all of the above that are part of our everyday operations. So this project would allow us to essentially bring more in, get more done in a shorter amount of time, and continue to push out the services that we provide to everybody and keep things moving in the right direction.
So this is family-owned and New York State certified women's business enterprise.
Yes, we are very proud to be.
Yeah, sounds like you've had terrific success. You're a top 100 company for the Rochester Business Journal. This expansion allows you to grow and stay here. You're also providing a percentage of your proceeds to the Warrior Salute Veteran Services, doing all kinds of good things. And I know about phone systems that start expiring. So, but, wanting to hire and then needing the space and certainly equipment that will help things stay running efficiently, those are all logical needs. So are there questions from the board on that? Okay, hearing none, public hearing was not required. I'd like to ask you our local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes, we are.
Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
Not at this time, no.
Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The seeker process is complete. We have waived the reading of the detailed resolution. We have a copy of that. I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving the sales tax exemption. Is there a motion?
Motion, Rhett.
Thanks, Red. Is there a second?
Lisa.
Lisa makes a second. Thank you. Any additional comments, questions? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yay.
Tony?
Yay.
Lisa?
Yay.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe is absent. Rhett?
Yay.
Thank you. And Anna be yay. Motion carries. Project approved. Thank you very much, Brittany, for joining us today, and good luck with your project.
Thank you so much. Our serious thanks to the board for the approval, and you all stay safe and be well.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Project 8 is the Rochester Joint Schools Construction Board for the phase 2 of the modernization program. Do we have the representative on the phone for this project? I believe Alan Williams was expected.
They're coming on right now.
We're expecting them momentarily.
Okay. We can take a breath.
We can take a breath. Making a lot of progress.
You need some water, Ann?
I got it. Thank you.
At this time, I just want to check that we only have the board on the phone right now.
Joining the meeting.
Oh, good. There we go.
Pepin Asilian, Sabin Engineers.
I'm sorry, what was the name?
Pepin Asilian.
Okay. Is there anyone else joining the call?
I believe Alan Williams is going to join in a few seconds.
Okay.
And I know Roz was going to call in as well, Roz from the city.
I just sent Roz an email, so I would expect her to join momentarily as well.
Yeah.
Have we had a communication with Alan Williams?
Yes, Robin just spoke to him.
And we sent him an email saying we're ready?
Robin spoke to him on the phone.
Oh, okay. Do you have a calling number?
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. I'm ready.
Oh, here we go.
Alan Williams.
Hey there, Alan Williams. This is Ann Burr. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Ann. How are you?
Good, good. We're ready to, my husband say we're ready to rock and roll almost. So
All right.
thanks for joining us. And Anna, you want to describe the application summary for this phase of the Rochester Joint Schools Construction Board?
Yes, absolutely. The Rochester Joint Schools Construction Board, or RJSCB, proposes the issuance of the third and final tranche of Phase 2 of the Rochester Schools Modernization Program, originally approved by COMIDA in December of 2016, with the second tranche being approved in June of 2018.
Joining the meeting.
This tranche
Roz Brooks Harris.
This tranche will not exceed $55,466,081, the remaining availability under the original approval. RJSCB, Rochester City School Board, and Rochester City Council approvals are required before the issuance of this tranche. Shall I read the excerpt of, okay, I don't think I need to read the excerpt of the COMIDA board minutes from December 6, 2016, but those are in our board book materials for your review.
All right, thank you, Anna. So this is the third and final tranche of phase 2. Is there a phase 3, or are we done after this? I guess that's
no,
question to Alan.
Yep, there will be a phase 3. We have the legislation is before both the State Assembly and the State Senate right now, waiting on their approval. And hopefully the expectation is that they will do it before the session ends in June.
Oh, good. Terrific. Right, there's been a lot of progress on this over the years. So.
Yes.
All right, so is there anything, Anna has read the summary of the project. We do have the information from our board meeting minutes of December 6, 2016. Is there anything you'd like to add, Alan or other representatives on the phone?
The only thing is that this is correct, the third and final tranche of this series. And of it, there are 3 remaining schools, or 2 remaining schools that are that will use the majority of these funds. School 10, which is in the 19th ward, and then School 30 or 54, which is in the Sherman and Otis Street, and we'll use the bulk of these funds for the completion of those 2 properties or those 2 parcels.
I see. Great, you're making good progress. Do we have questions from the board on this?
This is Troy Milne. I do have a question on phase 2. We have 2 more schools left, so are we on schedule and are we on budget?
Yes, we are. And the schedule is that these 2 schools, the last 2 schools in this tranche, will be completed and really ready for occupancy in September of 2020 of this year. And all throughout for each, both in phases 1, well, all throughout phase 2, we have the distinction of being both, of all the projects being on time and on budget.
Great. Thank you.
There is a multi-phase project that started in the first phase of phase 2, first tranche, and that will continue until 2021, and that's the East, Upper, and Lower School. That too will be done on budget and a few months ahead of schedule.
Nice. Great. That's always terrific to be able to say that. And projects of this magnitude. Questions by the board? Any other questions? All right, there was a public hearing, as we just pointed out. Actually, the public hearing was November 15th, and then was approved by us in December 6th, 2016. I will now, was there any, well, these are, I guess there were comments, but the details are in our books on that. Is that correct, Rachel?
Yes, detail is in your book.
Yeah, okay. I'll ask you some local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
No, we don't. As a matter of fact, all throughout the project, and we have abided by the rules of COMIDA in terms of the labor being sourced within I think it's the 9-county area.
Great. That's a good track record.
The bulk of which is,
Yes, the bulk of which has been in Monroe County, in both the city and in Monroe County.
Good. Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
No, we don't.
So
are you aware that if you identify
yes.
you'll let us know 45 days in advance?
Yes, we will. Sorry, I misunderstood the question.
All right, thank you. The seeker process is complete. We will waive the reading of the resolution. I will ask for a motion to approve the issuance of the school facility revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $55,466,081. Is there a motion to approve?
And this is Jay Popley. I will be recusing myself from this vote because of a business relationship.
Okay, thanks for letting us know. Okay, is there a motion? Troy, is that?
Yes.
And is there a second?
I'll second it, Ann.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. Any additional comments, questions? All right, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay is abstaining, recusing. Tony?
Yay.
Lisa?
Yay.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe? Is absent. Sorry. Rich?
Yay.
Is a yay, and Ann is a yay. The motion carries. Project approved. Keep up the great work.
Thank you very much. We will.
Thank you for all that you're doing to improve the conditions for our students. So.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate the vote.
Okay. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. This is the last of our projects. It's a project modification for 1733 Ridge Road LLC. Has the representative joined us for that project?
Angelo and Gracia is on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Angelo. Thanks for joining us. So Anna, would you like us to, or would you like to walk us through the modification?
Yes, absolutely. The company has requested that a portion of the land encumbered by the agency lease agreements and pilot agreement be released to accommodate the development of a senior housing project financed by the New York State Housing Finance Agency, or HFA, and secured by a letter of credit from Citizens Bank National Association, or the lender. This request is a result of a requirement from HFA and the lender that the parcel not be encumbered by the agency lease agreements and pilot agreement.
Okay. Any comments on that, Mr. Ingracia?
Nope, not at all. I think that encompasses it.
Okay. Are there questions from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the execution and delivery of amendatory documents necessary for the release of a certain parcel from the existing agency documents?
So moved, Dan.
Thank you, Jay. Is there a second? Is that Tony?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Any additional comments, questions? All those in favor?
I have a question, and this is probably for Rachel. So now, if this separates from the pilot, is the local labor waiver still in place for any work being done over there, or is it now not part of the?
This portion, the senior housing portion, will no longer be receiving benefits from the agency, so our local labor requirements will not apply. The pilot will be administered directly by the town of Arundecoit. It's known as an Article 11 pilot. We will have no further involvement, though.
Gotcha. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, we had a motion and a second, and no further questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Was that one opposing? No, I guess
Nope,
not.
everybody in favor.
I thought I heard someone try to speak. All right, thank you, motion carries. We are through our book. Now we
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you,
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on the phone for any of the projects? Okay, so shall we keep going, folks? Are we all up to the challenge? Maybe we could do this, as a former boss of mine once said, we're going to move through this smartly.
Well, you have moved very smartly so far, so I have faith.
So, all right, the next item on our agenda, and these are a lot of organizational items. This is our annual meeting. We've had many committee meetings, so the committees need to report out. There's a number of items we need to vote on. We have officers, committee members to elect, and so on. So we'll get started, but I hope everyone has a copy of the year-end report. I want to ask Anna Bliss, our new executive director, to give us the update. It looks very impressive.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. I've opted to go with a PowerPoint format going forward. I know that under my predecessor's leadership, this took place, the formatting was a little different, so bear with me, and I welcome your feedback afterwards if you prefer this be presented in a different manner next time around. So I'll go ahead and get started. So on slide number 2, we just go over some high-level results. In 2019, we had 46 new projects come to the board, amounting to $500,021,629 in company investments, direct job creation of 1,171 employees over 3 years, 3,859 jobs retained over 3 years, and 2,609 construction jobs associated with those 46 new projects.
Wahoo, wahoo.
Wahoo.
Great news.
On slide number 3,
very good.
We go over projects by municipality. As you can see, Rochester, the city of Rochester saw the largest volume of projects at 31, followed by the town of Henrietta with 10 new projects, the town of Gates with 7, towns of Greece and Chili with 3 new projects apiece, and then Honeoye Falls, Lima, Parma, and Penfield, each with 2 new projects respectively. On slide number 4, those 46 new projects overall on average showed a benefits to incentives ratio of 8.56 to 1. And we're going to go into some project highlights, if that's okay, just to give you a snapshot of a few of the more robust projects that came through to the board in 2019. Firstly, Field Tex Products Incorporated, a pilot project. This is a domestic contract manufacturer. This is a textile manufacturing business, carrying cases and garments for medical and military markets is their primary line of work. So I'm sure that they must be busy at the moment. They, in 2019, put forth a project amounting to an investment of $6.3 million with 30 new jobs created over 3 years. And also, somewhat fortuitously, their expansion took place around the same time that Allison Athletics, which had a nearby facility, announced that they were shutting down operations. So Field Tex was able to take on some of those displaced employees as they also looked to move into the Allison Athletics facility. So it was a great example of a retention and expansion endeavor during a time of another company's decline. Slide number, so slide number 7 is ITX Corporation. This is a technology business, web development, software product development. ITX Corporation actually has an international presence, and they are headquartered here in Greater Rochester. And this project entailed ITX relocating from the town of Pittsburgh into the city of Rochester, right at the Metropolitan facility downtown, former Chase Tower. This project includes a conference center for training its U.S. workforce, $1.1 million investment with 50 new jobs over a 3-year period. And their workforce is already working and dining downtown, although given current circumstances, that's not the case. But great project regardless. Zweigels Incorporated, a pilot project. This is slide number 8. This is another example of a great retention and expansion play. We all know Zweigels, delicious hot dogs, family owned for many, many decades. And Zweigels is expanding its production facility in the city of Rochester, $4.6 million with 9 additional jobs over a 3-year period.
Joining the meeting.
And this was another instance of retention.
Hold on 1 second. Hi, Steve. It's Rachel. We'd covered the 2 projects with Angelo and also the earlier project on Indus, and both had received approval. So the board has now moved into some annual organizational matters.
I apologize. I was tied up in something.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Just didn't want to bore you to death here.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate it.
Bye now.
Bye.
All right. So we just talked about Zweigels, and also that's an example of the company was exploring possibly moving out of state, and this was a successful example of us getting out in front of their challenges and helping them build their expansion here in Greater Rochester. Slide number 9, Simutech Group Incorporated. This is another pilot, another high-tech business engineering simulation software company that also provides engineering consulting services and also has an international presence throughout North America. This was a $3.2 million project with 3 jobs over 3 years. So we hope to see them continuing to grow. And then finally on slide 10, Comtech Solutions LLC. This was a sales tax exemption project. Another technology business. As you can see, we're seeing a lot of volume from software and information technology employers in our county. This company specializes in enterprise resource planning systems for manufacturers, so offsite IT managed services and cloud hosting and backup for manufacturers. They're growing in the town of Gates, $800,000 of investment with 19 jobs projected over that 3-year period. So just a few highlights from 2019, and we anticipate to see a great deal of success hopefully in 2020, especially hoping that this COVID-19 situation is abated as soon as we can possibly make happen. And that's, do I have any questions from the board?
Thank you, Anna. That's really a pretty good year-end report, if I do say so myself.
Thank you.
Great effort by the whole team to get to those results. Thank you for summarizing them. I like the PowerPoint. So.
Oh, good.
Okay, let's see. Moving right along, Chair Burr will report on the annual compliance committee report. The compliance committee met on March 10th, and the committee reviewed the list of projects which did not meet their job creation requirements for the pilot agreements, as well as the explanation letters that were submitted from each project. The committee did approve a waiver for the Brockport Federal Credit Union and the 1275 John Street LLC projects. The 2 other additional projects, the committee requested additional information and will be readdressed at the next committee meeting. We also reviewed the annual compliance review process and procedure document. The recommended changes reflect the process that is currently implemented by staff. Staff recommends a name change for the committee to be a compliance review committee to more accurately reflect the policy which covers compliance for both benefits, not just real property tax abatements. And so the committee then recommended to the full board for approval that the annual compliance review process and procedure be adopted by the full board. So I will move approval of the compliance committee's report to the board and motion to the board, and which includes the 2 waivers that I mentioned. Is there a second?
So just be clear there, and out of the 4, we did honor the waivers for Brockport and John Street?
Yes, we did.
And the other 2 are?
We've asked for additional information.
More? Very good. Okay, I'll second the motion.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Chair Burr. You gotta shut up. Pardon me. You will report, now report on the audit committee. And we met as a committee on March 10. And Tom Huber of Needle Mixer Bar and Company presented us the draft 2019 audit. The good news is that the audit was unmodified with no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. In the management letter, they did recommend that we update our employee handbook, which we will be doing. So the committee is recommending to the board that this audit be approved as accepted by the audit committee. And I'll make that motion.
I'll second, Troy.
Thank you. Is there any additional comments or questions on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And congratulations to the whole team. You know, it's not any fun going through exhaustive audits, and we had a new company helping us this year. And they said that they worked without any delays or inefficiencies with our team, and they moved right forward. And the fact that we didn't have any material adjustments or weaknesses identified or deficiencies says a lot about our team. So thank you very much to the team. The committee also reviewed the existing charter and recommends approval. We'll do this in one motion to the board with no changes. The committee reviewed its self-evaluation and noted that there were no issues. The committee reviewed the internal controls and financial accountability policy and the whistleblower policy. No changes are recommended to the internal controls policy. The committee is recommending to the board that we readopt the internal controls and financial accountability policy. There is a new whistleblower policy, which was reviewed by the committee, that conforms to the new New York State Authority Budget Office requirements. And then the committee recommended the approval of the new whistleblower policy. So that's a report of the audit committee, and I will move approval to the board for this report.
Troy, second.
Second, Ann.
Been seconded by Troy. Any additional comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right. Let's see, next up is the Finance Committee report, Mr. Emilio.
Yes, the finance, excuse me, the finance committee met on March 10th, consisting of Lisa Blasner and Anthony Melio. We approved at that meeting, we approved the draft minutes of the October 8th, 2019 meeting. And the next item was the committee reviewed the existing charter and was approved by both Lisa and myself. And we also reviewed the investment deposit policy. The committee recommended that the readoption of the investment deposit policy was recommended for approval. And that's, leave it, check. And the board recommended the approval and changes as discussed in that meeting. That's it.
Okay.
Have a motion?
Are you making the motion?
Yes, making a motion.
Okay. Okay. Is there a second? Lisa?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Any additional comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Connie. All right, now the really big report will be presented by Mr. Jay Buckley.
Thank you. Do we go into executive session, or did I miss that on the?
We're
going to do that at the end of the meeting.
Okay, very good. Thank you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
The governance committee met yesterday, and we reviewed a whole litany of policies, which you see on your agenda. There were some changes recommended to be consistent with best policies and best practices and recommendations from New York State. There were new policies added for conflict of interest, return and distribution of recaptured benefits, sexual harassment, and a sexual harassment complaint. The committee reviewed all of those and is recommending adoption by the board. And before I move that, I just want to make sure, Rachel, we did modify the travel and business expense policy as we discussed.
Yes, we did.
Executive director, correct? Okay, very good. So I will open it up to questions if any of my fellow board members have questions on any of the policies. Hearing none, I will make a motion for readoption of the policies with the changes as recommended and approved by the governance committee.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? Is there a second? Okay. Any additional comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. I thought, Jay, we were going to walk through every one of those policies.
Oh, God, no. We'd be here all day.
That's Anne's dry humor, very dry humor. Okay.
This St. Patty's Day, we'll do it virtually over a pint of Guinness.
There you go. Green Guinness. Oh, wait.
There you go. Okay, so now we also need to, this is our annual meeting, we need to readopt our bylaws. And I don't believe we've had any changes. So we just need to readopt the bylaws that we have. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any additional comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. We also need to approve our mission statement and our performance measures. I don't know if anyone has any questions on that, or if we need to review it. It was all included in the materials that you received. But what's your pleasure? No pleasure. No comment. All right, I will ask for a motion to readopt the mission statement and approve the performance measures.
So moved.
Moved by Jay. Seconded by Troy. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Motion carries. All right, now we also need to appoint the committee members and the adoption of charters for our audit committee, finance committee, governance committee, annual compliance review committee. And so and you have the information on who's serving on which committees. I'd like to ask for a motion to adopt the committee membership as discussed and reflected here, and readopt the committee charters with no changes.
So moved.
Thank you. Been moved by Jay. Seconded by Lisa. Any additional questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, election of officers. Ann Berg, Chair, Jay Popley, Vice Chair, Lisa Bolsner, Secretary, Anthony Melio, Treasurer, Ethics Officer is Chair of the Audit Committee. That's me. Contracting Officer is our Executive Director on the list. So I'd like to ask for a motion to elect. Contracting Officer is our Executive Director on the list. So I'd like to ask for a motion to elect. Oh, thank you, Ed. And is there a second?
Yeah, Troy will second.
Okay, thanks, Troy. Any other questions or nominations? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. And I will just report on our board evaluation summary of the questions that we used to ask the board members to evaluate the performance of the board. That it was all positive, quite positive. Mostly agree, and only one somewhat agree, and only one somewhat agree. So very positive results and reports from our board members on evaluating the performance of our board. So thank you on that. All right, the next agenda item is Anna, who will talk to us about a new initiative around the coronavirus disruption that we're seeing today. Anna?
Thank you, Anne. As we are all aware, the ongoing public health crisis brought on by the spread of COVID-19 locally and throughout the United States has had and will have a detrimental impact on small businesses in our community. We're already hearing about layoffs and closures and expect more fallout, the impacts of which we can't accurately predict at this time. Monroe County and this department are receiving inquiries from many small businesses, local lawmakers, and also chambers of commerce as to how we might be able to mitigate the continued job loss and economic decline that's expected. So as executive director of this body and of MCIDC, I propose that we discuss the establishment of a low interest loan program targeting small businesses in Monroe County impacted by COVID-19. Because establishing such a program will not only help address existing challenges, but serve to address disaster relief concerns that may come up in the future as they are tied to our regional economy. So at this time, I propose possibly using IDA funds to be administered as loans by the IDC pending further discussion by this board and that body, the IDC's approval at an upcoming meeting. So I'd like to open this up for discussion and ask for your input.
This is Jay. I think it's a fantastic idea and something that's definitely needed in these trying times.
Thank you.
I would just say that, you know, we have the funds available, and this would be a remarkable project and be able to help many small businesses who are going to really feel the effect of the virus.
And Anna, kudos. This is Troy. I agree. I will tell you right now that job sites and construction sites are shutting down on the hour. I'm getting calls that there's a dependent, a wife, a worker, and it's just triggering shutdowns everywhere, to the point now what's confusing is there's different local HR resources that are directing these companies where it doesn't seem there's a consistent decision. Some are being overly cautious, others are just trying to keep everything flowing. But I think in the next 2 to 3 days, it's going to go tenfold to what we're experiencing. So just as a perspective for the board, you know, and in local labor on the union side, we're talking about 25,000 people. And thank goodness to Governor Cuomo waiving the unemployment 1 week waiting period is going to help, but long term, this is going to really affect not only small business owners but large business owners and all their employees too. There's going to be more work to be done as far as this loan program, and hopefully government figures out some other resources. But more to come on this for sure.
Thank you. It's a very tough time for so many of our local citizens. So,
this is Tony. Just the dollar amount again?
We haven't, oh, sorry, go ahead, Rachel. We haven't established that figure yet. We're still fleshing this idea out, and we'll probably call a special meeting in the near term to ask for board approval once a dollar figure has been proposed based on our research.
So this is an information item for you now, that just to let you know that what Anna and the team are working on, which is certainly a very worthwhile endeavor. So they'll come back to us for a vote at some point when we know how much and so on.
Yes.
Anna, to go along with what Tony had just asked, do we have any idea, low interest loan, do we have any idea what kind of range that will be?
We're talking between 0 and 1%, very, very low interest. We're not expecting this to be a money maker for either this board's accounts or our sister board. This is an effort to address an emergency situation.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Thanks, Lisa.
Anna, do you have a time frame as to when this might be rolled out to the small business community?
I mean, ideally as soon as possible. The desire of the county executive's office is to roll this out as soon as we can. The MCIDC board meets next week, so plan to hear from us in the coming days as we put muscle on the bones of this proposal.
And this is Rachel. We'll remain to be in touch. The relaxed open meeting laws do allow us to have telephone meetings. I can't recall the date. I expect it to be extended again. So we'll be in touch, and we have some flexibility to respond and to act via conference call. So we'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Anna.
Thank you.
I have no further discussion items. So at this point, I'll move that we move into executive session for board members only.
So moved.
I guess, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So I meant to also say, well, no, I guess it's just, that, isn't that right on it's just board members?
Yeah, so I want to just confirm at this time that only board members are on the phone. I think Greg might still be hanging in.
Yes, I can exit.
No, Greg, we want you to stay. Greg is our
Okay.
CFO, will remain on the line as well. In the room will be only Anna and Rachel, and we are going to be turning off the live stream at this point.
Okay. End. Are you
Okay.
sure you
Let
want
us know when we're
to end?
no longer